Hi, Donna. I've seen you back to back to back today.
Had muted the thing because I had a client come in.
Oh, no worries, no worries at all. I am just sending over the link to our speaker today, Sarah, just to make sure that she gets into the Zoom call as she needs to.
Noise a little bit because my my transaction coordinator is here, my daughter Sophie. So we're training her.
Awesome, awesome.
And once she's working, she'll be listening. Hi.
Hi. Let's see.
Just go ahead and turn off the camera because it's all awkward right now. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
I don't know what happened. I switched to my earbuds and I don't even have them out.
No worries, no worries. It can be a little bit wonky at times, so I totally get it.
Hi,
And
Ela. How you doing?
I'm good, Sarah. How are you?
Good. Thanks for sending that link over. I was having a bit of trouble logging
Of
on there for a
course.
sec.
Of course, no worries. I'm glad I could get that out of the way.
Yeah. I did just share my screen. Are you able to see that? Okay, perfect.
Yeah, we're all good.
Great. Did you want to wait a few more minutes, see more a few more people trickle in, or did you want to go ahead and get started?
We'll give it a few more minutes and then at like 1:01-ish, we'll go ahead and get started. I'm recording this session right now. So we'll be able
Perfect.
to get that out regardless.
Sounds great.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, why don't we go ahead and get started, Sarah?
Perfect. Sounds good. Hi, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining today's session. My name is Sarah. I'm a customer success manager here at SkySlope, and today I'm going to be the tour guide through the transaction management side of SkySlope. My next introduction is going to be the SkySlope SkySlope support team, which is located right here in Sacramento. If you have any questions, our support team is always here to assist and guide you. We have 24/7 support. So if you give us a call at 3 a.m., we're going to pick up and walk you through whatever issue you're having. We also really pride ourselves on our prompt response times, which means if you choose to reach out and give us a call, you're guaranteed an answer on that second ring. Personally, though, I like to use the chat function for the quickest reply. Or if you'd like to compile all of your questions into an email, send those our way and you're guaranteed a response within 20 minutes. So today we do have a bit of an agenda. Today I'm going to be walking you through how to create a property file in SkySlope. We'll then talk about how to turn in documents for review and submit to the admin team, how to manage our listings and transactions and all the tabs within them, closing our files, and also we'll end on a Q&A. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and jump right into the platform. All right, so this is the SkySlope transaction management side homepage. You may be familiar with this page, but I'm going to give you a quick lay of the land. Right here in the upper right-hand corner, you'll notice the test agent. In your account, this will display your own name. Over here in the left-hand corner, it'll have the Radius Agent logo, and this logo is going to act as a home button. So if you ever want to get back to this main page with all of these action icons, simply click that logo, and it'll bring you right back. Now, right here in the middle, this is where we're going to be creating our property file. We're going to be using the Create Listing button. Before we dive into that, though, I also want to point out we have this dashboard up above here, which gives us a quick overview of all the activity happening in our account. So here we have the scheduled closings for the month, active listings, pending deals, already closed for this month, and any expired escrows or listings. We also have access to support. So if you ever need to contact support, you can go ahead and click this little guy with the headset. This will take you right over to the SkySlope support page, where again, we have the option to either call, chat, or email. And accessing the chat is very easy. All you need to do is look into the lower right-hand corner, click chat to go ahead and get started. And if you're looking for the call number, you can scroll to the bottom of the page, and we have our call number listed there. But if you've had that long day filled with showings, talking with clients, and you just don't feel like engaging with a real life person anymore, we absolutely understand that. We also have this search bar available to you. So let's say that you wanted to learn a little bit more about agent responsibilities. Go ahead, type in your keyword, press enter, and then a huge knowledge base of information will become available to you. And if we head back real quick, we can see our most popular topics listed here, including the On Your Time trainings. You can also browse specifically by product. And then last but not least, if you have any ideas about how we can better support you or your team, please let us know by posting right here in this section. This area is directly monitored by our CEO, Tyler, and our product development team. The ideas with the most upvotes are looked into and prioritized for different product releases. So definitely get in there and tell us what you want to see. All right, back to our home page. So as I shared our agenda, we're going to be creating a property file, and I'm going to create a bit of a scenario for you guys. I have this new client. His name is Paul. Paul let me know he's ready to get his house up on the market. So I went ahead and I sent him that listing agreement for review and signature. I finally have it back fully signed. I'm now ready to create my property file and submit that document to my admin team for review. So because we're working with the seller today, we're going to go ahead and create a listing. But if I was representing the buyer, I'd be starting over here and create a transaction. So we're working with the seller. We'll create our listing property file to get started. All right, and this is Sky. She is our virtual listing assistant. She's going to guide us through these questions. And the first question she's going to have for us is what the property address is. So you can go ahead and start typing in that address. Go ahead and make your selection. It'll autofill for you. We'll go ahead and hit let's go. Our next question is, what type of listing is this? And this is actually an important question because this will determine the types of documents you need to submit to your admin team. So always pick the option that is most relevant to your situation. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Northern California Standard Residential Listing option and hit next. How much is the property listed for? We'll go ahead and say 500,000 and hit next here. And now we're at the commission. So here we have the option to enter it in by percentage, or we can switch over to a flat rate. We also have the ability to add in team members at this phase. So let's say that you are co-listing this property with one of your team members. Go ahead and click Add Co-listing Agent here, type in their name, and this will give them access to work out of this file, but from their own separate SkySlope account. But today it is just Paul and myself, so I'm going to go ahead and hit next here. How long is this listing for? Make our selection for those listing dates. What's the source of this deal? We have tons of options available to you, but if you don't see anything here that really fits, go ahead and select other and type in where you met the source of this deal. I met my client at the roller rink. We'll go ahead and hit next here. And lastly, who is selling our property? Today I'm working with Mr. Paul Rudd. He's a great friend of mine. And I'm happy with this setup so far, so I'm going to go ahead and hit next. But if Paul were on behalf, if we're selling this property on behalf of his LLC, we could switch to a company seller. We could also add on additional sellers if there are additional sellers involved, but it is just Paul and myself, so we'll go ahead and hit next. And finally, Sky is going to have us review everything we've entered. Assuming everything looks correct, we're going to go ahead and hit create my listing. But if anything looks amiss here, we can always hit this back button to make any necessary changes. But this looks pretty good to me, so we're going to go ahead and hit create my listing. And just like that, we've created our very first property file. So automatically it takes us to the checklist, which is our compliance area. This is where we're going to be submitting those documents to our admin team for review. We're taken to the checklist first because Sky just used the information we've provided her to fill out the listing and contacts tab. So we don't have to worry about those tabs. We just have to worry about the compliance area. Now, you may notice there's some color coding happening here. These items in red are required, which means they must get submitted and turned in order for you to get paid. Anything that's labeled blue, or if applicable, doesn't mean that it's not important, but it may not apply to each and every transaction. A great example would be this lead-based paint. I think it's 1978. The property has to be built before then, and they would have to upload this for compliance. So now I want to show you how you can turn those in for admin review. Does anyone have any questions about what I've shown you so far? Is everyone feeling good? Good, perfect. All right, so there are a couple different ways that we can go about submitting documents to our checklist. The first is by selecting the attach button listed here. This is going to allow us to upload documents directly from our computer if need be. If we head back, we also have a drag and drop function. So if you have that document just sitting on your desktop, go ahead and grab it off your desktop and then just pull and then place it onto the appropriate line item you want it to be attached to. And just like that, we've successfully attached a document to the checklist. It is now yellow and in review. If we had any documents uploaded in our documents tab, we could also assign them directly from this area as well. So if I wanted to, let's just call this the listing agreement. I have my listing agreement here. I'll make my selection and then assign it to the appropriate line item on the checklist. All right. So those are the different ways that we can submit documents to the checklist. That pretty much does it for the agent side. Now we have the admin step in to do their auditing process. And once your admin has finished auditing the documents that you've submitted to them, they're going to send you a little email that looks something like this. The email is going to have the property address in the subject line, and then the status of the document submitted down below. So everything labeled green and completed needs no further action. You are good to go on those documents. Anything that's labeled red and incomplete needs to get corrected and resubmitted for approval. And what's really nice is you don't have to go shaking them down, wondering what you got to do next to get that document in the green. They have a little comment section here letting you know why the item was rejected, so you can go ahead and start getting that corrected and resubmitted for approval. And if we head back to our checklist, I also want to point out that you yourself as agents have this comment section ability. So let's say that I know for a fact that this document will be signed on Friday. Go ahead and put in my note, maybe my initials, press save. Now, anyone who pipes into this file to audit, or maybe just another co-agent, will be able to keep up on the status of this document. So this is a great way to communicate with your auditors and admins on the status of the documents that you're trying to submit. And if we click this little downturn arrow here, it's going to include these details: the date and time, the comment that was left, and also who left that comment. So it's really great for compliance, just making sure that everyone is staying on top of everything in the checklist. All right. So now I want to go over the remaining parts of these tabs here. I also want to discuss another way that we can bring documents into our file, and that's by using this property-specific email address here. So every property file that you create automatically generates a unique email that is associated with that property file, and this email acts as a direct pipeline into our SkySlope file. So if I send any emails or documents into this address, all that information is going to be stored within my property file so that I can have it all stored in one place. So for example, let's say I have my client, he sent me a disclosure packet to my email. I don't want to have to go to my email, download it to my computer, re-upload it to my file. It's just a lot of work for me. So what I'm going to do is copy that property specific email address that was generated, jump over to the correspondence with my client. There's that message from Paul. There are those attached documents. So now I'm going to forward this entire communication to that property specific email that I just copied. Click send. And again, this is going to carry not only that document, but also this message over to be stored within that file. So if we hop back over, you can see from our checklist, nothing yet has really changed. And that's because we're never going to submit items for you on your behalf. But if we head over to our documents tab, you can see that disclosures packet is now readily available in our file for us to attach to the checklist or break apart using the split tool. And then if we head over to our log, this is where it's going to log all the activity happening within the file. From this area, we can see the action that was done, date and time it happened, and who actually did that action. And if you'll notice, we have an email record listed here. If I click on that, it shows the correspondence I had with my client as well as the attached disclosures that were initially included on that thread. So this is really great for compliance. I definitely recommend you start using the property specific email address as a way of a communication log so everything is stored in one place. Does anyone have any questions so far? Everyone feeling good? Awesome. All right, well, let's keep trekking ahead then. So next up is the tasks area. This is where we can create specific tasks associated with this property file. You do have the option to add individual tasks one by one, but I highly recommend if you are adding the same tasks to this different property files throughout your account, creating a task template so that you can import those tasks as opposed to creating them individually one by one. And I'll show you on the main page where you can create those task templates. All right, now before we move on to the transaction side, the last thing I want to point out is we also have the withdraw listing button. So let's say that our seller, he gets cold feet, he no longer wants to sell his property. We can click the withdraw listing button, which will submit this file to our admins for review and approval. All right, now getting back to our homepage here, we're going to go ahead and click the logo in the upper left-hand corner. So we just covered how to create our listings. Creating a transaction is very similar. So we're actually going to jump into the manage transactions area just to jump into a file that's already been created on the transaction side and point out a few of the differences. So we'll jump into manage transactions. Manage transactions and manage listings look very similar as opposed to these pages here. And from this page, we have the option to jump directly into the file. We can also cancel the file directly from this area and submit it for admin review. Any canceled files that you submit will live in the canceled transactions pending approval section. So we'll jump into this already created transaction. The first tab that we're brought to is the transaction tab. So this is where all of the basic property information is going to be stored. Anything with a red asterisk is required information needed on this file. So sale price, acceptance and closing date, all of that good stuff. After you've filled in all the red required items, go ahead and click next, which is going to bring you to the contacts tab. So the contacts tab is where you're going to store all of the relevant contacts you need to stay in contact with throughout the life of the file. And again, anything with a red asterisk is required information that needs to be completed before you can move on to the next tab. And what's really great about SkySlope is anytime you enter in a new contact for the very first time, that person is going to be added to your personal directory. So if you ever work with that person again, instead of having to enter in their information line by line, field by field, you can actually use the search contact function listed here to pull in that information so you don't have to enter everything in manually. Now, after you've entered in all those required contacts, we'll move on to the commissions tab. So the listing side didn't even have its own commissions tab. So I'll go ahead and walk you through all the different areas that you can fill in and enter here. So again, anything with the red asterisk is required information, but all the different areas we can fill in here are listing and sales commission, TC and admin fees that need to get paid at closing, deposit information, referral details or notes, additional commission information, commission splits if you work on a team, and just further commission breakdown. Now, if there's anything that needs to be entered commission-wise that doesn't have its own specific field, I would definitely recommend using the additional commission information section. Similar to the comments section in the checklist area, this logs your comments with the date and timestamp and also who left those comments. So if I were to leave a comment here, it's going to show me a comment history, again, date and time, myself, and the comment that was left. Next up, we have our checklist. And in the checklist area, there's not a real difference between this side and the listing side. The only difference here is on the listing side, you'll be submitting listing documentation. And then on the sales side, you'll be submitting sales documentation. If we look to the upper right-hand corner here, we also have something called the Transactions Actions button. If you, for some reason, had the deal fall through and you needed to cancel the transaction and submit it for admin approval, you could definitely do so by selecting the Cancel Transaction button here. You can also download a summary of the transaction. This will include the contact information, relevant details, basically anything you've entered into the file thus far. Now we'll head back to our Manage Transactions area so I can walk you through what happens at closing. So what happens on closing? When closing day does come, if your file is fully completed and needs no further action or details entered in, your admins will be able to close the file for you and archive it for long-term storage. But if your file is not complete on closing day, they can still close it for you, but if they close it for you, it's not going to be archived. And if it's not archived, it's going to live here in the closed transactions to be archived area. We like to call this place file jail because typically if you have a file listed here, you're not going to get paid on it until those incomplete items come down to 0. So definitely make it your habit to get those documents turned in and in the green on or before closing day so that you can get paid on time. All right, so we're nearing the end here. I do just want to end on our homepage here and touch on a few of these icons we really didn't get to go over quite yet. So first up, we have our incomplete checklist tab. This is exactly as it sounds. It's a list of all the incomplete items throughout all of your checklist and property files. If you want that long laundry list of everything that still needs to get done, go ahead and take a peek in there. To the right, we have our canceled contracts area. This is where all of your canceled files will live long-term once they are approved by your admins. To the right, we have our Access Archives section. This is where all of your closed files will live once they have been fully closed and completed by your admin team. To the right, we have our Tasks and Reminders section. This is where you can create those task templates I was telling you about. We also have the Working Docs area. This is sort of like your personal Dropbox. You can store any sort of documents, pictures of your dog, whatever gets you through that day right in this area. And then finally, we have DigiSign. So if you ever need to send something out for a signature, feel free to use the DigiSign tool to send out that document and get that signature. Now, I know we covered so much, so I do want to end on a little reminder that we do have the best support team in the biz. Again, they are 24/7, 365, and they're real people. If you call, you're not going to get some sort of robot. You're going to get a real person, and we're happy to help you. So feel free to lean on us at any time. But I'm happy to stick around to answer any other questions you guys might have. So feel free to drop those questions in the chat.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Does anyone have any questions? I really want to make sure that while you guys are on here, you're able to get the support that you need and get your questions answered in real time. Otherwise, if not, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap up for today. But Sarah, feel free to drop your email in the chat or like you were saying, they can access SkySlope support if they have any additional questions. But I really want to thank you so much for this training today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Is there anything else that I haven't mentioned? I don't believe so. But we like to do product trainings every now and then and based on agent demand as well. So thank you all for attending today, and I hope everyone has a great rest of their Tuesday.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great week.
Thank you so much.
All right, bye-bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
Laura.